Hello, fictional. Welcome to the What If Issei. Today we are gonna see, what if Deku was in DxD universe? Part 1. If you end up liking this video, please consider subscribe, so without further ado, let's get into the video. I will be basing this story on the light novel and anime, but I will also create my own headcanons and backstories for some characters that did not have a proper introduction or backstory in either medium. After Shigaraki body recovered from his fight against Stars and Stripes, All For One completely takes it over. He is not able to access her quirk after stealing it. But he was able to stop her from destroying all of his other quirks. The vestige of Stars and Stripes is locked away inside of All For One quirk just like Shigaraki consciousness. All For One's first plan backfires, take Stars and Stripes quirk and become unstoppable. Now that he's taken full control over Tamura's body, he can put his next plan into action, stealing One For All and killing Izuku Midoriya, but to do that he's going to need someone's quirk. Meanwhile, at the police station where Kai Chisaki is being held, two second-generation Nomas attack the station. A third one with wings then takes overhaul and flies away, allowing All For One to steal his quirk. 3 weeks later All For One can fully control the overhaul quirk. Now it is time to try and take One For All again before killing Izuku. UA High School. Izuku Midoriya is training for the inevitable fight against All For One. Everyone has heard about what happened to Chisaki. Izuku can use up to 70% of One For All. He has been training for the past 10 hours. Young Midoriya, that's enough training for today, All Might said, concerned about his successor. No, not yet. I need to be able to use 100% of One For All. Izuku said, while he was flying and kicking the air, practicing combat in the sky. All For One is out there getting stronger, I have to be able to stop him. Young Midoriya, it's good to train, but if you don't get any rest, then you're just torturing yourself. I'm fine, I can go for another TW. Izuku never got to finish that sentence as he clasped on the ground. All Might had to carry Izuku back to his dorm on his back. He was out training all day, wasn't he? Uraraka asked when she saw All Might carrying an unconscious Izuku. Yeah, he needs to take it easy on his training. We don't know when All For One will strike, so young Midoriya can't be worn out before the fight even starts. All Might said to Uraraka while placing Izuku back into his bed. The next day, All Might is looking at UA from a distance, surrounded by 3 third-generation Nomas. Ready for his attack. Back at UA, Izuku decided to take All Might's advice. He was sitting on the couch in the lounge, relaxing and writing in his notebook. He was trying to think of some new things he could do with all his quirks. That's when his danger sense went off in his head. "These here," Izuku said with a serious tone. "Who?" asked Class 1A simultaneously. "All For One," Izuku said as he powered up One For All and ran out of the dorm, only to see All For One in Shigaraki's body hovering over the school. "Can you save them?" All For One asked before he started to decay the school building, leaving no survivors. "Seriously, did they really think those security upgrades would stop me?" All For One said, mocking a dead Principal Nezu. "Why?" Izuku asked in disbelief, unable to comprehend how all of the people who had taken refuge there were now gone. "I needed to get rid of all the teachers and pro heroes. I know I can take them on, but I don't want the extra trouble," All For One said, looking down at Izuku who was trembling with sadness and rage. "All Might, Mom, Kota, Eri, they are all gone." Izuku thought to himself. "It looks like your friends are coming over here," All Might said as he saw Class 1A rushing over. Hearing this, Izuku turned his head to see all of his classmates coming over to him, ready to fight. "I had expected this, which is why I brought some friends to keep them busy." With that, All For One uses his warping quirk to summon 3 third-generation Nomas. "Have fun and cause as much chaos as possible, but leave Izuku to me," All For One said to his Nomu, who let out a monstrous roar in response. Izuku didn't waste any time as he activated One For All, while Class 1A prepared to fight off the 3 Nomas. Izuku used his black whip to grab hold of All For One and pulled him towards him. Smash. Izuku yelled out as he punched All For One in the face. At 38%, All For One, who wasn't expecting that, stumbled back a bit. All For One and Izuku then begin an intense battle. Class 1A manages to hold off the Nomu with some teamwork. Mineta uses his sticky balls to trap One, while Todoroki covers it in an ice glacier. Die. Bakugo yells out as he pulls the pin from his gauntlet. Knowing that it can regenerate, Todoroki freezes it again, and Bakugo fires off a bunch of explosions to make sure it can't regenerate. Momo creates more gauntlets for Bakugo to use on the remaining Nomas. Meanwhile, All For One and Izuku continue their fight with All For One having the advantage due to experience. While they are fighting, All For One managed to knock Izuku out of the sky, landing on his back. Seeing this as an opportunity, he goes up to him and places his hand on his head, attempting to steal One For All. "Last time, I couldn't take One For All because Shigaraki's body wasn't complete. Now there's nothing stopping me from taking it," All For One said as red lightning started coming out of his hands. Izuku, along with the remnants of the previous One for All users, found themselves within the vestige of All for One. They all looked around and noticed a lot of spheres, each with a different color, just floating about. These must be all the quirks he stole, Izuku theorized out loud. They are. A voice called out, grabbing their attention. All of the previous One for All users turned around to see a woman chained up and bound to a wall. Izuku quickly recognized her as the #1 hero in America, Stars and Stripes. "Get used to your new home," a voice said, putting them on alert. All for One then appears in his own vestige world. "I can appear here whenever I want," All for One said, pointing at Stain and Stripes. "That's how I was able to stop her. As long as she's chained up, she can't use her quirk, nor can I unfortunately." All of the previous users stood ready for a fight. But All for One just laughed. "I killed all of you in the real world, what makes you think you can beat me in mine?" Izuku wasting no time charges at All for One smash. Izuku yells out as he punches All for One in the stomach at 20% One for All. But All for One wasn't even fazed by the hit. "Physical attacks can't hurt him," Stars and Stripes said. "How do we beat someone who can't take damage?" Nana said while Izuku comes up with an idea. He silently communicated his plan to the other users. Izuku jumped in the air behind All for One, making him turn around. Step 1 complete. Izuku thought to himself. "Delaware smash," Izuku yells out as he does a finger flick at a random wall, then another, not even aiming at anything particular. All for One is very confused and asked, "What are you doing?" Second part complete, Izuku thought as he answers All for One's question. "Nothing, I just needed to create a distraction." Hearing this, All for One quickly turned around and was met with a sight he didn't want to see. In front of him stood Stars and Stripes, no longer chained up and able to use her quirk. "I might not be able to defeat you in here, but she can." Stars and Stripes then activated her quirk to destroy AFO quirks. Hundreds of floating lights started to disappear. AFO, seeing his quirks being destroyed, tries to hold onto the quirk he got from Overhaul. It will be how he plans on killing Izuku. "I need to send all of them out of here," All for One thought to himself, knowing that he wouldn't be able to take One for All, but at least he would still have some quirks left over. All for One opens up a portal, which will lead them back to Izuku's consciousness. They all start getting sucked into it like a vacuum. Unfortunately, the sucking causes the quirk that All for One was protecting to also start floating away from him. As they are all being sucked into the portal, Stars and Stripes sees All for One trying to hold onto a quirk. Thinking that it's important, she grabs it as well, so that All for One can't have it. Back in reality, only 30 seconds have passed when All for One puts his hand on Izuku's head to try and steal his quirk. As soon as Izuku comes back to his senses, they are both blasted away from each other. Izuku's classmates and friends come over to help out. After they had finished off the Nomu, All for One, seeing that he may be in trouble, uses his warp quirk to summon the League of Villains. "This is going to be a tough battle, guys. If you want to back out, do it now," Izuku said, to which no one objected. They were determined to see it through until the end. "Let's kill these bastards," Bakugo said, grinning. And with that, the battle began. Izuku Midoriya was the only one from his class left standing. He couldn't save a single classmate. However, he didn't have time to mourn because All for One was coming at him. "You're going to die just like the others," All for One said, lifting Izuku up in the air. He then threw Izuku into a pile of rubble, trying to break him down and steal One for All. Supreme Kai World. "Sir Majin Buu has gone into hibernation," a pink-skinned man said. He had long white hair and a broad face. "That's good, Kibito," a small purple man said. He too had a white mohawk. "Why do we take care of him?" an old man had asked him. He was also purple and had white hair. "Because great ancestor, he is technically a Supreme Kai. That's because he absorbed the real one. I'm glad he's asleep. He keeps on turning all our food into sweets. I don't even like chocolate that much." "Sir, you need to see what is happening on Earth right now," Kibito said as he made the others look into the crystal ball. "Wow, that kid is on the verge of death. Goku used to protect Earth. But he's been dead for centuries now," Supreme Kai said as he watched Izuku get blasted into a building. "That boy is clearly not strong enough to beat that man. Kibito, let's go." Supreme Kai asked, "Where are you going?" "You just keep watching the crystal ball." Kibito and old Kai stand beside the sleeping Buu. "Kibito can teleport us in front of that boy." But Izuku was just blasted through a building with an air cannon. Izuku was lying on his back in an old office that had been converted into a room with a bookshelf, a hole in the wall, and a desk split down the middle, with Izuku laying in between both halves of the desk. "I'm too weak," Izuku said with sadness in his voice. "You damn right you are," old Kai said, making Izuku lift his head up to see who was talking. "Who are you?" asked Izuku. "My name is not important. However, I would like you to meet Majin Buu," old Kai said, pointing at Buu who was still sleeping. "How Buu? I'm going to seal Buu inside of you. You will gain his strength and magical abilities." "Wait, what can he do?" "We don't have time for questions." Just search through his memories to find the answer. Old Kai began his spell. Majin Buu began to glow before disappearing. Izuku could feel a wave of power coursing through him. A mark resembling a M appeared on the back of his neck. Well, it's time for us to go, Kibito. And with that, Old Kai vanished. But not before Kibito heals Izuku. Izuku walked towards the hole in the wall. His green hair covering his eyes. Izuku looked down at All For One with red eyes, and a pink aura started surrounding him. The power he felt was intoxicating, he felt like he could do anything. Flying towards All For One, Izuku punched him in the gut with Buu's Kai surrounding him. Upon realizing that the pink aura was giving him a massive strength and agility boost, he decided to use it instead of One For All. All For One was sent flying from Izuku's attack. What happened? He was knocking on death's door just a moment ago. All For One questioned, confused. While All For One was able to get back on his feet, Izuku slowly started to float. So all I have to do is put the energy underneath me and it'll hold me up? Izuku questioned to himself as he was still figuring out some stuff. Testing something out, Izuku stuck out a finger and a pink energy beam shot out. All For One saw a pink beam coming at him. Eyes widened, he tried dodging it by jumping into the air, but it hit his leg, severing it. All For One let out a painful scream after having his leg cut off. Izuku flew towards All For One and watched his legs start to regenerate. You should probably end this fight now. The fifth user of One For All said. No, not yet. I want to make him suffer a little bit more. Izuku replied as his new powers are warping his mind. Where did this power come from? This isn't a quirk from one of the previous users of One For All. All For One said. You will feel the pain that all of my classmates and friends felt. Izuku replied before pointing a finger at him and firing off a bunch of pink death beams. All For One kept regenerating his limbs as Izuku kept blasting them off. Eventually he got bored of torturing him. With blinding speed he closed the distance between the two of them and did a roundhouse kick to his head, sending him crashing to the ground while also creating a giant crater upon impact. Whatever this power is, I think it's warping your mind. It'll be best if you end this before something bad happens. The sixth user said. I've never felt better, but you're right, I should end this. When someone is backed into a corner they become desperate. Izuku replied as he was descending towards the ground. Izuku landed in front of All For One, ready to put him out of his misery. Outstretching his arm, Izuku shot a Kai blast point blank range, killing All For One instantly. Izuku looked around at the scene. What was once a giant school is just a bunch of dirt and rubble with a giant crater with Izuku in the middle of it. Now that the fight was actually over, everything started to settle in. No one survived. Izuku said, shaking. His pink aura and red eyes came back. The area started shaking. Aya. Izuku screamed out loud, getting out all of his sadness and frustration. With him yelling and his immense power, he was able to tear a hole, opening up multiple portals. Looking through one, he sees a alley. Must be a teleporting ability that Buu has. After saying that, he goes through the portal. Little did he know he wasn't in his universe anymore. Supreme Kai world, you sealed Buu inside of that boy. Supreme Kai said to Old Kai. Yep, he's sealed away forever inside that boy. We don't need to take care of him anymore. Old Kai said. Supreme Kai watched Izuku beat All For One. Then he saw Izuku open up a portal. Oh no, great ancestor, you have to see this. The boy you sealed Buu in just entered a different universe. What? Kibito replied, all three of them looking at the crystal ball. We have to get him back. Shin said. There are hundreds of universes out there. And you're not strong enough to create a portal to bring him back. The best you can do is talk to him. This is not based off of Super IO quirk. One For All, a stockpile ability that can be given to someone else. Hajin. The user can build up kinetic energy by repeating regular motions and store it for later use. When the user chooses to release the energy, they gain an explosive burst of speed and power. Transmission. The power allows its user to change the speed of an object they touch. Danger Sense. This quirk allows the user to detect any potential threats in the surrounding area, thus giving the user the opportunity to properly react to them quickly, similar to a sixth sense. The detection of a threat is described by Izuku as a sharp stabbing sensation in his head. Smokescreen. Smokescreen allows the user to generate a thick cloud of smoke from their body. The smoke can be spread to cover a very wide area. This serves as a way to obscure the vision of opponents and catch them by surprise. Float. This quirk can make the user float themselves or others by touching them. Black Whip. Black Whip grants the user the ability to produce energy tendrils from any part of their body and command them at will. These tendrils are black in coloration with a glowing light teal outline. Overhaul. Overhaul gives the user the ability to disassemble and then reassemble matter with their bare hands. New Order. This quirk allows Izuku to set a rule onto his surroundings, allowing him to manipulate and give new properties onto themselves and the world around them. Majin abilities. Mind manipulation. Izuku is able to put people under his control by manipulating the evil in someone's heart. If Izuku decides to put someone under his control, they will be branded with an M on their forehead. They will also become stronger than they were originally. Healing. Izuku can heal any type of injury from a wound to a missing leg. As long as the person isn't dead, he can heal them back to full strength. Matter manipulation. Izuku is able to turn objects into whatever he wants. Immortality. Izuku will not die of old age. He will live forever unless someone kills him. Mimicry. Izuku is able to mimic abilities and techniques if he sees it once. If the technique isn't available to him because he's not part of a clan or race, then he'll be able to make a similar version of it. Majin mode. When Izuku enters Majin mode, his power will increase tremendously. When he enters Majin mode, his mind becomes warped and he becomes brutal, ruthless and sadistic during battle. While in Majin mode, Izuku is able to access Byu's Kai. He will be able to fly and shoot energy blast from his hands. Due to Majin being inherently evil, he is not able to use one for all on top of it in the beginning. He will be as strong as first form Byu. When Izuku is forced to use Majin mode, he will have a pink aura surrounding him and his eyes will turn red. Due to the fact that Majin Byu is sealed inside of him, nobody can sense the power unless he activates Majin mode. Absorption. If Izuku chooses to, he can turn someone into candy and eat them, but instead of them dying, however, he can store them inside of his body. They will be sleep inside a cocoon until he decides to spit them out. He will only do that if he needs to protect someone though. Kai magic, Kai. Izuku is able to use the Kai to teleport himself anywhere in the world. This ability is not limited by distance, either he can go to heaven or hell instantly. Magic materialization. Izuku is able to materialize objects out of nowhere. The limit is his imagination and magic capabilities at the time. Due to Izuku having a pure heart, he is able to use Kai magic effectively when it gets taught to him. Just like with Majin magic, Izuku will not be able to combine powers with each other. They all have to be used separately until he learns how to combine them together. Potential unleash. Izuku has the ability to release a portion of someone's hidden potential by placing a hand on them, searching for some kind of power. Purification spell. Izuku is able to purify anything or anyone he wants. He can turn people into what they were previously. For example, fallen angels could go back to being angels, reincarnated devils could go back to being their previous race, and if given the circumstances, Izuku could even purify someone's heart. Telepathy. Izuku has the ability to read someone's mind. It ranges from placing a hand on top of the person's head and going through their memories or just reading whatever's on their minds at the time. He can also communicate with people telepathically. As soon as Izuku stepped through the portal, it closed. He walked out of the alley. His clothes was torn and he had blood on him. "Hey kid, you okay?" a random man said, looking at the state Izuku was in. "Yeah, I'm okay, but can you tell me where I'm at?" "Oh, you're in Kuo." Izuku's mind started racing as he didn't know where Kuo was. I'm still in Japan, right?" The man looked at Izuku as if he was crazy. Then answered, "Yeah, this is Japan." Izuku started thinking, "I've never heard of Kuo before. Wait, what if?" "Excuse me, but what year is it?" Izuku asked. 2007, are you sure you're feeling okay?" Izuku's face showed panic. "It's 2007, I went back in time." Izuku snapped out of his thoughts and ran. "I'm sorry, but I have to go." Izuku ran to a forest near the city. "Okay, calm down. I just opened up a portal that sent me back in time. All I have to do is open another one to go back home." Izuku was about to try and create another portal to go home. Until he thought of something. "Wait, what if I go back farther in the past or something? I think you should go find out something about where you're at." Sixth user of One for All said. It was late at night and Izuku had found a library. Sneaking in, he was currently searching for anything about this time. After searching for a while, he found out that he was in a different universe. How did he find this out? Well, the fact that some cities in his universe that's been around for years is nowhere to be found. Also, there isn't anybody with a quirk. "Well, I'm in a different universe," said Izuku. "What are you thinking, kid?" Nana said. "I can't exactly open up another portal hoping that it'll take me home. What if I end up in a world with aliens roaming the earth or something?" "So are you going to live here?" All Might asked. "Yay, no supervillain running around killing people. I can blend in with the people among this world." Time skip. It has been a few months since Izuku came to this world. He was able to buy a penthouse by turning rubble into diamonds and selling it for cash. He hated cheating the system, but that's the only way he can support himself as a teenager. Can't find a legal job that can support himself. He also got to reunite with his mentor All Might in Stars and Stripes, as she is now part of the Vestige world. Izuku was able to grasp her quirk easily. As for the quirk she pulled into the Vestige world with her overhaul, thanks to one of Byu's ability to learn techniques quickly, he was able to use overhaul to its full capabilities since he saw Kai Chisaki use it. All Might suggested that he should go back to school and make some friends in this new world, but Izuku was against it. Aside from his time at UA, he didn't really make friends at any other time in his life. Izuku was bullied in elementary and junior high by most of the kids, while the teachers did nothing about it. All Might and the previous users of One for All was able to convince him to give this world a shot, saying that it's better than sitting around moping about his previous life all day. Izuku made it to Kuo Academy. If there's one thing Izuku doesn't like, it's being the center of attention. That's what is going on right now. He's not as plain looking as he was in his universe. Having messy green hair isn't as boring here. "Hey, who's the boy with the messy green hair?" a female said to her friends. "He might be a new student, I hope he's not a pervert." Izuku could hear more mumbling around him, but couldn't make out what they were saying. "Hi, I'm Izuku Midoriya." "Ah, you must be the new student. Well, you can introduce yourself to the class in a minute," the teacher said. "So class, today we have a new student joining us. Why don't you introduce yourself?" the teacher said. Hello, I'm Izuku Midoriya," Izuku said timidly while holding onto his arm with his head down. Everybody started whispering about the new kid's behavior. "Alright, Izuku, why don't you go take a seat?" "Oh, thank you," Izuku said before looking around for an empty seat. A brown-haired girl then raised her hand and spoke to him. "Hey, new kid. Here's a seat," she said as she pointed at the empty seat next to her. "Hi, I'm Ika Kiryu. It's nice to meet you." "I'm Izuku Midoriya. It's nice to meet you, too." Izuku had saw Ika stare at his pants for about 10 seconds before she spoke again. "Not bad, we're going to get along great." Izuku, ever the perceptive one, didn't have a clue about what just happened. It was lunchtime and Izuku was sitting by himself with his food. Until a brown hair boy joined him. "Hey, mind if I join you? My name is Issei Hyoudou." "I don't mind. You're the new student Izuku Midoriya, right? How you know that?" "I'm in your class, you probably didn't notice me. Anyways, I saw you sitting by yourself, so I thought I would join you." "Thanks," Izuku said. He actually wants to be alone, but he's too nice to say that. "Try it again," All Might said from inside One for All. Izuku was currently practicing with the quirk overhaul in the forest. Thanks to Byuu's abilities to learn things quickly, he had a good grasp on that quirk. "It's amazing how you are able to use that quirk so effectively with little training," said All Might. "I don't know why you train, there's no supervillains in this world. Nobody else have power." Nana said. "You never know, I might need it to save someone's life." Izuku replied to the both of them. He'll be lying if he said he wouldn't be interested in trying overhaul out someone. He tried looking on the internet to find anything about the supernatural. That unfortunately was a waste of time because he found nothing. Unbeknownst to him, he will soon find himself in the middle of it. It has been 3 weeks since Izuku been going to Kuo Academy. He was good friends with Issei Hyoudou. He however didn't participate in the activities that he and his buddies did. Izuku was getting ready for school. "Today seemed like I'll be interesting." Issei texted him saying he needed to see something. He didn't give details. Izuku had a feeling that it was a girl. Izuku was at the front entrance waiting for Issei. "I can't believe you hang out with that pervert," Nana said. "Issei is not that bad, besides he reminds me of Mineta." "Young Midoriya, this guy is worse than Mineta." Mineta never peeked inside the girls' locker rooms. Actually, he did before, the teachers just never knew. Wait, while All Might was cut off by Izuku's danger sense going off. He haven't felt that pain in a while. So natural he went on guard, someone's life was in danger. "Yo," Issei said, grabbing Izuku's attention. "This is Yuma Amano, she is my girlfriend." Izuku wasn't paying attention to Issei. He was to focus on the girl. "She will try to kill him," Izuku said to himself as he was analyzing the girl in front of him. "I've never seen that uniform before, I'll have to do some digging on it, I can see through her facade. And Yuma is probably not even her real name." Izuku then looked towards Issei, who was completely clueless. Then Izuku got an idea. "Well, I'm happy you found a nice looking girl," Izuku said with a smile. "But I have to get to class. It was nice meeting you, Yuma-san." Izuku held out his hand for her to shake it. When she did, he pulled her in close to whisper in her ear. "I don't know what you're planning, but I'm not going to let you kill him." Izuku pulled back, still smiling as if nothing happened. Issei was blissfully unaware of what just happened. "I'll see you in class. And it was nice meeting you again, Yuma." The black-haired girl was glaring at Izuku like she wanted to kill him. "Malice is directed at me now. Yep, that confirms she's going to try something." Izuku thought, turning back around to see Issei's girlfriend glaring at him. He just smiles and gives them a thumbs up. Izuku was walking down the hallway of Kuo. He was currently thinking about how he was going to save Issei. Option 1, follow him on his date, and when she tries to do something, save him. Or option 2, try to convince Issei not to go on that date. Given Issei's personality, option 2 was not an option. Nothing interesting happened to Izuku in class. However, at lunch he and Issei sat together like always. Issei was going on and on about Yuma. "So where is she?" Izuku asked. "I don't know, she doesn't go to this school." Izuku found that to be suspicious, but he didn't say nothing. Me and Yuma are going on a date Saturday, I can't wait. Issei said excitedly. I don't think you should go on that date. Are you out of your mind? A pretty girl wants to go out with me and you're telling me not to, why? I don't trust her, I'm just looking out for you. Izuku wanted to tell him that she was planning to kill him without sounding crazy. You're worrying about nothing. What do you think, she's going to kill me or something? She might. You don't find it weird that a girl just asked you out? She knew your name and everything. Her school uniform isn't anywhere near Kuo, I'll just be prepared for a setup. With that last statement, Izuku gets up and walks off. Unbeknownst to the both of them, a small girl with white hair was listening in. I should tell Butchu about this. The white-haired girl thought. The occult research club was just a front. That's where Riaz and her peerage operates. Currently Riaz was playing a game of chess with her queen and best friend Akeno. It seems that the Hyoudou boy got a date with a fallen angel on Saturday, Kaneko said after coming in the club room. Thank you for telling me, I'll go make preparations immediately, Riaz said, moving one of her pawn pieces. There's something else, Issei's friend, I think he knows something, Kaneko said, which caught Riaz and Akeno's attention. What makes you say that? Akeno asked. It was like he was trying to warn him. He said that it might be a setup and stuff. I don't know, it's just a hunch, Kaneko replied. He might know about the supernatural. What's his name? Akeno asked. I think his name was Izuku. Izuku Midoriya is a new student. He transferred here about a month ago. Riaz said. How do you know that? Akeno asked. I thought I sensed something from him. I wanted to see if he had any abilities, but he seems like a normal human, nothing special. She replied. Were you spying on him? Akeno asked. Only for a week and not after school hours. He's timid, shy, and he exudes zero self-confidence. Someone like that probably doesn't have any powers or know about the supernatural. She replied while staring at the chessboard before moving her bishop piece. Do you want me to follow him? Kaneko asked. If you want to, who knows, he might have a special ability, but I doubt it. I don't need you to follow Issei anymore. I have a feeling that he's going to die on that date Saturday. I'll keep an eye on Izuku then. Kaneko said before leaving. Izuku was walking through a park on his way home from school when he felt danger sense go off. Turning around, he was face to face with Issei's girlfriend, Yuma Amano. She's probably planning to kill me if I know too much information. I need to deal with her now. Izuku's planning was cut short when Yuma spoke. Who are you? She asked. So she's trying to figure out if I know anything. I'm going to play along, maybe she would reveal something. I don't want to fight her without her giving me some information. Izuku analyzed in his head while approaching her. You can drop the facade, you're not fooling me, Izuku said. Facade? I don't know what you're talking about, Yuma said adorably. If it weren't for his danger sense going off, Izuku might have actually believed her. Izuku then grabbed her throat and squeezed it. He didn't want to kill her, he just wanted to scare her. I know that you're planning to kill Issei. If you don't back off, I will be forced to stop you, Izuku threatened before letting her go. What happened next was something Izuku wasn't expecting. Yuma transformed, growing taller as she took on a more mature appearance. Her clothes were ripped off and were immediately replaced by a new set. After she transformed, Yuma Amano was standing in front of him in a very revealing outfit consisting of black strap-like objects, resembling leather, around and under her breasts, a thong-like piece held around her hips by 3 thin straps, gloves that ran right up her arms with small lengths of chains hanging from them, shoulder guard-like objects on her shoulders with 3 large spikes sprouting from her right shoulder, black thigh heel boots, and black angel-like wings. The thing that stood out to Izuku the most was the 2 wings. What is going on here? Izuku thought to himself. Pretty cool transformation you got there. So, what's your real name? Izuku needed to be sure he could use New Order just in case he needed it. It's Rainer, not that it matters. Your death will be slow and painful, you filthy human. Izuku activated One for All, preparing to defend himself. I don't recognize that sacred gear, who are you? Rainer asked with curiosity. My name is Izuku Midoriya, and I am not going to simply allow you to kill me. Ahahaha, what, you think just because you have a sacred gear that you can defeat me? Don't be stupid, you're nothing but a mere human. I should probably start off with 18%, Izuku analyzed out loud, which pissed her off. How dare you underestimate me? I'm going to have fun watching you bleed out while you try and cling to your pathetic life, Rainer said as she created a light spear and threw it at him. Izuku jumped into the air to dodge the light spear. Rainer flapped her wings and flew towards him with another spear in her hand, ready to impale him with it. Izuku, after seeing Rainer close the distance between them, dodged the light spear and did a spin kick to her shoulder. Rainer was sent to the ground after Izuku's counter-attack. There's no way that's just 18% of his full power, she said as she was holding her dislocated shoulder. Rainer turned around and expected Izuku to be on the ground, but to her surprise, he was floating in the air. How are you flying without wings? Izuku was using the 7th user's ability float to hover above the ground. "Who are you?" Rainer asked, trembling slightly as she spoke. Izuku descended to the ground and started walking towards her. Rainer watched as Izuku approached her, shaking with fear. She had never been afraid of a human before today. If there was one thing that she feared the most, it was death. She would not hesitate to sacrifice her comrades if it meant saving herself. "Don't kill me, I'm sorry," Rainer said with fear evident in her voice. "She's a coward, she had no problem killing you just a few moments ago," the 2nd user of One for All said. He lived in a time when All for One was in his prime. In his era, it was either kill or be killed. If he was in Izuku's position right now, the girl wouldn't be breathing. Izuku had stopped right in front of Rainer, towering over her as she was clutching her dislocated shoulder. "This is your chance to grab some information out of her, young Midoriya." Rainer saw Izuku outstretch his hand towards her face. Eyes widened for a split second in what she believes to be her death. She quickly shut her eyes and waited for him to kill her, but he didn't. Rainer opened her eyes and to her shock not only was she still alive, but her arm was healed. She also realized that she was wearing more clothing. Izuku had decided to put more clothing on her if they were going to be seen in public. She was now wearing a black miniskirt, a black shirt, the same thigh-high heel boots and the gloves that ran up to her arms. "I have some questions for you." After Izuku said that, the girl started to look around frantically, as if she was trying to find an escape route. Seeing her trying to find a way out, he spoke up. "Let's go somewhere more private to talk," Izuku said while grabbing her hand and lifting her up off the ground. Izuku and Rainer started walking hand in hand in the park. She thought about creating a light spear and stabbing him with it, but that plan went out the window when Izuku stopped and spoke. "You will die if you even attempt an attack on me," he said, feeling danger sense go off a little bit. Just so she won't get any ideas of attacking him, he decided to explain one of his abilities. "I can disassemble and reassemble anything I touch, including people." After Izuku described one of his abilities, Rainer looked up at him confused as to why he would tell her that until it hit her. They were holding hands. He hadn't reached his hand out to help her up, he had done so to be in control. "Damn it, he's calculated," she thought as she couldn't let go because Izuku had a strong grip. She had no other choice but to follow along. Hineko watched a fight between the fallen angel and Izuku Midoriya. As she watched them leave, she had a decision to make. She could either stop him or report back to Ria's to inform her of what she found out. She decided to report back to Ria's grimoire. Izuku arrived at the apartment building, entering the receptionist lobby, he guided Rainer to an elevator. They stopped holding hands a while ago, and Izuku had told her to walk in front of him. Arriving at the private elevator, Izuku put in a long number code. The elevator would take them to his penthouse. Rainer stepped out of the elevator and took in her surroundings. "This is a big place, but it's kinda empty." She commented as Izuku doesn't have a lot of furniture, there's a lot of open space. "I don't desire much in life." Rainer raised an eyebrow at that. "So why do you live in a penthouse?" "It was the only thing available." He responded simply. Riaz was sitting in her club room doing her homework with Akeno when Kaneko burst in. "Izuku knows about the supernatural, and he has a powerful sacred gear," Kaneko said. "Slow down, what happened?" Riaz told her. "I was following Izuku and he was approached by Issei's girlfriend. He knew she was planning to kill Issei, and they ended up fighting." "What happened after that? Is he still alive?" "Yeah, he was in control of the entire fight. He also told her that he would only use 18% of his power. A human killed a fallen angel with only 18% of his full power." Riaz said in a bit of shock. Kaneko shook her head. "No, he didn't kill her. The fallen begged for her life, and he ended up taking her somewhere. So I came back here as fast as I could." "Why didn't you just continue to trail him?" "I was worried that the fallen angel would have spotted me, and that could have been bad," Kaneko said. "I understand, you did the right thing. Akeno, I need you to find out where Izuku Midoriya lives." Akeno nodded and went to go look through some papers. Ria sat back down in her chair and started to think about this new situation. Izuku Midoriya can beat a fallen angel with just 18% of his power. He'll be valuable if I can convince him to join my peerage. But I need to get him away from the fallen first before they try and convince him to join them. Izuku guided Rainer into his bar. He basically uses it like a second kitchen and living room, he doesn't have any use for all of the wine and alcohol that came with the house. "Aren't you a little too young to be drinking?" Rainer asked, trying to be friendly as he can basically end her life within seconds. "Please have a seat," Izuku said as he gestured towards a bar stool. Rainer sat down at the bar and Izuku walked around the counter. He stared at her intently for a minute, analyzing her body language before he asked his first question. "What are you?" "I'm a fallen angel." She answered him, seeing no reason to lie now. "A fallen angel?" Izuku questioned. "You don't know about the supernatural, yet you have all this power and no one has ever tried to recruit you?" Rainer asked him as she was in shock that no devil had ever tried to recruit him. If she played her cards right, the fallen angels could have a strong ally. She just had to convince him that the devils were the bad guys, which shouldn't be too hard. Who would want to recruit me? He asked with confusion. This is her chance to convince him to join the fallen angels, she just needs to be charming and friendly. Okay, I'm going to tell you about the three main factions, but this is going to be a long story. Would you mind pouring me a drink? Rainer asked while pointing at a glass cabinet filled with alcohol. I'm not really sure what any of this stuff is, Izuku said while looking at all of the alcohol. All Might would kill him if he even thought about trying one of those drinks at his age. Just pick one, I'm sure it'll taste good. She replied. From what she gathered from him, Izuku seems like a nice kid. All she has to do is be friendly and she might be able to get out of here alive, hopefully with a new ally for the fallen angels. Izuku set down a wine glass and bottle in front of her. Now, what are these three factions? He asked. The three factions are fallen angels, and devils. She answered him while opening up the bottle and pouring her drink. I'm a fallen angel, she said before taking a sip of her drink. A fallen angel is someone who fell from heaven due to having impure thoughts or actions. So what made you fall? He asked her. This is delicious, Rainer commented on the drink as she ignored his question. Do you want some? She asked. No, just answer my question. Why? It's not important and it was a long time ago. She said. Izuku switched topics, not being too interested in knowing why she had fallen from heaven. Why are you trying to kill Issei? Rainer sighed before she began explaining. I have orders to keep an eye on him because he may awaken his sacred gear. What is a sacred gear? Izuku asked with confusion in his voice. How do you not know what sacred gears are? You have so many different abilities. She was shocked that he didn't know what sacred gears were. If she remembered correctly, he had green electricity around him that seemed to give him his boost in power and speed. Then there's the fact that he was able to heal her dislocated shoulder within seconds and materialize a new set of clothes on her. It didn't make any sense to her. How was he able to go undetected from the supernatural, and who taught him how to use his powers? Choosing to push her curiosity down, she decided to answer his question. A sacred gear is a weapon given by God to certain humans. You seem to have multiple sacred gears, I'm surprised you don't know about them. Rainer hinted at her suspicions. My powers are unique, that's all I am willing to reveal at this time. Ask her to explain these devils. Nana instructed him from the vestige world. Tell me about these devils. Izuku told her. What do you want to know? Everything, from strengths, weaknesses, leaders and how they operate. Rainer inwardly smirks to herself at the thought of making them look like horrible people. After the Great War between the three factions, the devils found a way to increase their numbers so they wouldn't go extinct. They called it the evil peace system. It's like a game of chess. You have the king who's the leader, the queen who's the second in command, and so on and so forth. The king can choose to reincarnate someone into their peerage if they see value in them. Once someone is reincarnated into a peerage, they will have to serve their master. It's basically slavery. Why would anybody choose to serve someone? Izuku questioned. For more power, a longer lifespan, or perhaps they did not agree to it. What do you mean they didn't agree to it? He asked. Rainer smirked as she began to explain. A high-class devil cannot reincarnate someone who doesn't want to join them. However, there's a loophole, and that's death. Some devils use underhanded methods to get certain people into their peerage. Interesting, Izuku murmured. I'm surprised that Ria's Gremory didn't try to recruit you into her peerage. I mean, you two go to the same school. Ria's Gremory is a devil. He asked. Oops, did I say that out loud? She said while hiding a smile. But yes, her brother is Surzich's Lucifer, one of the rulers of the underworld. This town is part of the Gremory territory. Territory? He questioned. Me and my team are basically trespassing here. If any of her members finds us, we're dead. Izuku began analyzing this new information before asking his next question. So what are you and your team doing here exactly? Izuku asked. I already told you, we're here to take out Issei before he unlocks his sacred gear. Rainer was confused about his question. No, if it was just about killing Issei then one person would do, but you have a team, which means it's more than that. Rainer put her head down in defeat, knowing that he was right. I was planning on stealing a sacred gear from a nun which would have killed her. Who is this nun? Izuku asked. Her name is Asia Argento, and she possesses the Twilight Healing. Me and my team were planning on performing a ritual that would extract her sacred gear from her. She informed him. Normally, she would never reveal her plans to anyone, but right now, she's scared for her life. Where is she right now? Izuku asked. She hasn't arrived yet. Izuku then began to mumble as he tried to think of a plan to save everyone. What are you doing? Rainer asked as she heard Izuku speaking very quickly. Alright, here's what's going to happen. Izuku said, catching Rainer's attention. You're going to go back to your team and you will not go anywhere near Issei or the nun. And what makes you think I'm going to listen? I have orders to kill Issei. Let me tell you about one of my other abilities, Izuku said as he walked around the counter and stood right next to her. This ability is called New Order. Basically, I can touch something or someone, say their name, if they are a person, and set a rule onto them. After seeing Reiner's confused face, he decided to show her rather than tell her. Izuku grabbed her hand and spoke, Reiner, you can no longer inhale oxygen. Izuku said as he activated New Order. Reiner started to gasp for air immediately after he said that. I can't breathe, she said while trying to gasp for air. That's what I meant when I said I could set rules on anything I touch, Izuku said before he deactivated New Order. What the hell are you? Reiner asked after taking in some much needed oxygen. Izuku grabbed her hand again and activated a new rule on her. Reiner, if you kill any innocent people, your heart will explode. Reiner's eyes widened as Izuku holds her life in his hands. From what he gathered, she valued her life more than anything. That's the only reason she spilled her entire plan to him. So now he knew that she wouldn't try to hurt anyone. How many comrades do you have on this mission? Izuku asked. There are 3 others fallen angels besides me, and we also have some stray priests and exorcists working for us. Reiner replied. My superiors don't know about my side mission. Before he could ask his next question, a phone rang. Excuse me, Izuku said, sighing. Izuku answered the phone, and the receptionist in the lobby spoke. I'm sorry to bother you, Mr. Midoriya, but you have 2 beautiful girls in the lobby who want to speak to you. Should I send them up? I'm not expecting any company. He replied. Izuku grabbed a remote and turned on a CCTV video of the lobby. Reiner turned around to look at the screen, and her eyes widened at who she saw. That's Ria's Gremory and her queen Akeno Himejima. Don't let them in, they might kill me. Reiner said with a bit of fear. Tell them I'm not at home. Yes, right away. The woman replied. I'm sorry, but Mr. Midoriya isn't home right now. The woman said with a smile. We heard you talking to him on the phone, Ria's retorted. He does not want company. The woman replied back. That's fine, let's go Akeno, Ria said before she and Akeno left. Are we going to teleport inside? Akeno asked as they made their way out of the lobby. No, we'll speak with him tomorrow at school, Ria's replied as they began walking down the street. Izuku was walking down the halls of Kuo Academy. He had about an hour before school started. Izuku decided to head towards the library. He always liked learning new things about this world. Mainly the history. Entering the library, he sighed in relief that nobody was in there except for the librarian. He likes to be alone. His classmates liked to ask him for help on schoolwork. They knew he was a smart kid. Izuku always willing to help people helps without hesitation. It was just tiresome, but he will never say that to them. You're reading about history. A girl's voice said, getting his attention. Izuku looked up from the book he was reading to see Ria's Gremory standing in front of him. He remembered what the fallen angel said yesterday, so he kept a straight face. Hello, are you Izuku Midoriya, the new kid? Ria's asked. Yes. Izuku had his guard up. Even though danger sense wasn't going off. My name is Ria's Gremory. I have heard so much about you. This made Izuku pause. How much does she know about me? Izuku thought. This may sound strange, but would you mind if we talked for a second? Ria's asked. Sure, what do you want to talk about? He stated. No, not here. I have a more private place where we can talk. Red flags were going off in Izuku's mind. Danger sense however wasn't going off. He looked around noticing that he and she were the only ones in there. This is private. Aside from the librarian, we are the only ones here. We can't talk here. You're going to have to trust me, please, Ria said as Izuku had to admit that she looked kind of adorable. He was about to go with her when he heard Nana's threat. Kid, if you go with her I'll give you an aneurysm. Izuku's eyes widened after hearing Nana's threat. You can't give me an aneurysm, can you? Nana said nothing but a few seconds later. Ow. Izuku yelled while holding his head. Riaz looked at him confused. Are you okay? Riaz said. That was just a little bit of what I can do. Now walk away from that demon before she tries to take your soul. Nana said from inside One for All. I gotta get to class. Izuku said while walking away, but he stopped himself to say something. If you're going to ask me to join your peerage my answer is no. How were you able to do that? Izuku asked Nana from inside One for All. We figured it would be a good defense if One for All was ever taken. We can even stop your heart and kill you. Did you meet him? Akeno asked Riaz. Yes, but he knows I'm a devil so he was cautious. I will need another plan to get him here. It was lunchtime and Izuku and Issei were both sitting together at like they always did. So, I had ran into your girlfriend Yuma Amano yesterday, Izuku said. Who? Issei asked confused. Yuma Amano, you introduced me to her yesterday. She has black hair. It must have been a dream or something, I'm sure I will remember something like that. Issei said and Izuku theorized that Reiner wiped his memory. Yes, you're right, it was just a dream. Izuku said after realizing that he doesn't remember. Well, how big was her titties? Issei asked, and before Izuku could answer, two females sat down next to them. Holy shit, Ria's Gremory and Akeno Himejima, Issei said as he stared at them with his jaw dropped. Hello, it's nice to meet you, Issei Hyoudou, Ria said with a polite bow. Everyone in the school knows about the perverted trio. It's nice to meet you too, Izuku Midoriya, Ria smirked, knowing that she had him. There was nowhere for him to go. So, what were the two of you talking about? Ria's asked Issei. Oh, nothing, Izuku was just telling me about a dream that he had. He replied a bit nervous. The two great ladies were sitting at their table talking to him. The dream? Ria's questioned. Yes, I told him that I had a dream that he had a girlfriend. However, she was planning to kill him. Wait, you didn't tell me that part. She tried to kill me? Yay, she said that you had a special power and that you would become a threat in the future. That's an interesting dream you had. Ria said as she knew exactly what was going on. Yay, I'll say. Issei replied while being oblivious to the situation. So what did she look like? She had black hair, wore an unusual outfit, and sported some cool-looking feathery black wings. How did you stop her from killing Issei? Ria's asked. Oh, I also had special powers and I was able to defeat her before she could kill Issei. Izuku responded. Oh, what kind of powers did you have? Issei asked. Oh my god, Issei, you idiot. Izuku said in his head. Yes, tell us about your powers, Ria said. There is a difference between a smile and a smirk. To the outside world, Ria's was just smiling, but to Izuku, he could see a slight smirk on her face. Oh, dreams are very hard to remember after you wake up. Izuku saw Ria's turn towards Issei, and he was put to sleep. Magic, Izuku thought to himself as he made mental notes. I know you have that fallen angel in your possession, I want you to give it up. Are we just going to ignore the fact that you just put him to sleep? I'll wake him up after we're done talking. I don't have no one in my possession. I let her go back to her team. She's trying to kill Issei and you just let her leave. Akeno finally spoke up during this conversation. I've made sure she won't harm him. Izuku replied. How? Ria's asked, but before she could get an answer the bell rung signaling that it was time to go back to class. I have to go. Would you mind waking him up? Izuku said gesturing towards Issei. Issei woke up groaning. What happened? You feel asleep after eating your lunch. Izuku lied. Really, that's the lie he came up with? Ria's thought to herself. It was nice meeting you, Ria's and Akeno senpai. Izuku said before leaving. Izuku was walking home after school when danger sense went off. Someone's following me with killer intent, it must be someone from Rainer's team, Izuku thought. He already knew where to go. What he doesn't know is Kaneko is keeping a closer eye on him on Ria's orders. She also sensed a fallen angel following him. Izuku is being followed by a fallen angel. Kaneko texted Ria's. Izuku walked into a warehouse with a fallen angel following him inside. Izuku didn't sense Ria's, and her peerage were also following him because danger sense didn't see them as a threat. You can come out, I know you're there. Izuku told the fallen angel. How did you know I was following you? The man asked. You reek of killer intent. Izuku replied. My name is Donasek and Rainer told me about you. Flashback back. Rainer returned to the church and decided to erase everyone's memories of her. She then spent hours attempting to locate Izuku's power. The web in the underworld contained information on all existing sacred gears. Nonetheless, after scouring numerous books and websites, she found herself hurling a few books against the wall while yelling out some profanity. After her research only resulted in a temper tantrum, Rainer decided to inform her comrades about Izuku. I won't be able to kill my target. Rainer told her group. Why? A little blonde girl asked. He has a friend and he knew I was planning on killing him. She told them. So why didn't you just kill his friend? It couldn't be that hard. Is his friend human? Donasek asked. I tried, I even confronted him and fought him. He was strong, he has multiple sacred gears, I lost and he took me back to his place. You lost and got captured by a human, wow, how pathetic. Donasek said while a blue-haired woman comes into the room and sits down on his lap. What's going on? The blue-haired woman said after making out with Donasek. Rainer here lost to a human, was captured and now she doesn't want to kill Issei. You lost and was captured by a human, what did he want with you? He wanted information about the supernatural, he already knew I was going to kill Issei. He also put something on me and now I can't kill Issei. Rainer stated. I'll take care of this human that you're so afraid of. Donasek said. I don't think that's a good idea, he's got multiple abilities. Rainer said trying to warn him. The human is nothing compared to me. Donasek said arrogantly. Rainer turned to the woman sitting on his lap. Rainer, talk some sense into him. Rainer, you don't need to worry, he's the strongest one here. I don't think a mere human who we didn't get intel on can hurt him. Rainer stated. Just because you lost to him doesn't mean I will. Donasek said. Stop acting like you're a cadre class fallen angel, you have the same number of wings as me. I'm still stronger than you, though. Rainer replied, you know what, go fight him. He's only human, you shouldn't have any problems. After turning around and walking away, Donosik had to have the last word. Don't be mad because I'm stronger, you're the one who lost and got captured, I'm not that pathetic. Rainer stopped moving after he said that. She only turned her head to look at him and uttered a few words. He is going to kill you. Flashback end. I don't see how Rainer lost to you. I don't see anything special about you, Donosik said before creating a light spear and charging him. Izuku activated One for All and jumped over him, then without turning back around, he activated Black Whip and grabbed him. Izuku, with Donosik wrapped around Black Whip, slammed him over his shoulder and onto the ground. Donosik stood up slowly. That was a lucky shot, don't get cocky, human. He charged him again and tried to impale him with a light spear. Izuku jumped above the spear and kicked Donosik in the face, sending him flying into the wall. Was that also a lucky shot? Izuku asked, hoping the man would give up. You're not stronger than me, you worthless human. Donosik said while charging at him again, and Izuku has had enough of this guy. He outstretched his hand and Donosik was in pieces. However, Izuku didn't want to kill him, so he reassembled him back together. What just happened? Donosik asked as everything just went blank for a split second. I guess Rainer didn't tell you about my abilities, did she? What ability? She just said that you were strong and that you did something to her. Well, let me explain. I disassembled you and then put you back together. Essentially, I killed you and then brought you back to life. Donosik's eyes went wide after he heard that. I'm going home. Go back to your team. Izuku said as he started to walk away. You've made a big mistake by bringing me back to life, Donosik said before throwing a light spear at Izuku. Izuku sidestepped the spear and shot out a pink ray of energy that hit Donosik, turning him into a cookie. Izuku sighed. Why couldn't he just leave? He didn't have to attack me. His pride wouldn't allow him to run away from a human. The second user commented as Izuku walked over to pick up the cookie. Please don't eat him, Nana said from inside One for All. What? I would never do that. I'm just going to bury him. Izuku left the abandoned warehouse with a cookie in his hand, leaving behind a few stunned members of the Occult Research Club. Kaneko almost gave away their hiding spot when Izuku turned Donosik's into a cookie. End of the here. So that's it for today's video guys. Before you go, just like the video and share it with your friends. Bye.